Oh, wait, yeah, he tries to appeal to him and he's like,
Yeah.
it's just you, and if you switch sides. Oh, geez. Do you remember what he says? You do a better Megatron impression.
Uh, yeah. So Dinobot like transforms and is all like, "Fuck you, Megatron."
Too much energy.
Hello again, fellow Cybertronians! Welcome back to Too Much Energon, the weekly podcast where we review every episode of Beast Wars ever in order, starting from the beginning. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I'm your other host, Neo Cal.
What's going on this week, Cal?
Playing some Fall Guys, that weird little crummy physics MXC kind of game.
Yeah, that game
yeah.
was free on PlayStation Plus, was it not?
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly. Which surprised me when it was like $22 on Steam. I was like, oh, I don't want to spend money on this.
A podcast that I listened to, I heard it kind of likened to Rocket League in that sense, because Rocket League initially launched on the PS4, also free for PlayStation Plus members.
Yeah, that really rocketed Rocket League's popularity and made it more popular on all platforms.
It really Rocket Leagued Rocket League.
Yeah, it rocketed itself. That's the argument to be made for the Xbox Game Pass too, right? That even though these games are free, if somebody misses out on them or wants them on a different console or just wants to own it without worrying about a monthly payment or whatever, it actually increases sales. I find that interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber for at least a year and a half now.
Watch out, we got a badass over here.
Well, okay, so here's the thing with Xbox Game Pass is I was a Xbox Live Gold subscriber for quite a while, and in like early to mid 2019, I signed up for the 1 month or the 3 month $1 trial of Xbox Game Pass. And then when they launched Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is a merging of those two services, they gave me the option to combine them, and they're like, any time that you have available on either service will be combined together. And I'm like, okay, well, I have like a year left, a little less than a year left on Xbox Live Gold, and I have like 2 months left on Xbox Game Pass. So I'll merge them, and maybe I'll get like 6 months or so of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. No, that's not what they did at all. They just stacked the two together. So I ended up with like 14 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for no additional cost. And I'm still riding that wave, and it doesn't even expire now until like November.
Nice.
Yeah.
I find that Microsoft has actually been, and their Xbox side of things have actually had really good customer service.
Well, given you know me, I like the Xbox brand and have been a supporter of it since the days of the original Xbox. But I will admit they didn't start this gen off on a very strong footing.
Oof. Yeah. Oh, man. And Sony took that and ran with it, and they dunked on them so hard. Because their E3 for both consoles, Sony it was back to back.
Yeah.
And like their little advertisement where it's like, oh, what do you want to do if you want to share games? And then like there's like a little like he turns and passes it. Here you go.
Yeah, just like this video of like one dude just handing another dude just a physical copy of the game. It's like,
right after the Xbox One was like, oh no, when you buy a game, it's like locked to that console.
Yeah.
And like they were and they're advertising it more for like pay-per-view stuff. It just, whew. I don't know what's worse, the PS3 E3 or the Xbox One E3.
Well, here's the thing with the
Xbox One, yeah.
yeah, that's worse because that's just
Yeah.
that's just face palmy for the most part, whereas like Sony's 2006 E3,
It was memes. It was just
yeah.
dumb, wholesome.
Like like who like you can still look back to this day and laugh and hear like Ridge Racer, Ridge Racer,
Racer!
or Giant Enemy Crab, and just be
I
like,
still
lol.
make giant enemy crab references. Ugh. And then the whole $499.
$599
Oh, sorry,
dollars.
500. See, that's how long ago it was. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, no, it wasn't.
$599.
Jesus.
We at Sony feel the next generation doesn't start until we say it does. And if you don't like the $599 price point, we feel like our fans will just get second jobs. Actual fucking thing they said. And like stuff like that's funny, but
Yeah.
but Microsoft in 2013, for the most part, it's just like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah, but who's the current showman of it? Spencer? What?
Phil
Dang it! What's his name?
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer. Yeah.
Phil Spencer's
He's a bro.
He's a cool motherfucker.
Yeah, he's wow. Is he salvaging Xbox's name? Good job. I like him.
For the most part,
He's like a cool dad.
they've been stumbling a little bit lately. The court of public opinion, which is unfortunate. You guys were really riding a high tide there for a little while, and now
And they
it's
like
just
they tried to dunk on like Sony a little bit, and like, oh, our now that I've seen like the Sony specs, like we're not worried. And Sony like took their time and they released their like weird cyberpunk like PS5, and I remember people like ripping on it a bit, but I'm like, I don't know, I think that looks cool.
I don't know if I've mentioned to you or not, but like I have settled on that I'm going to buy a discless PS5, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I think I will too.
I'm gonna have that and my Xbox One X. Like those
Yeah.
are gonna be my two systems. And my gaming PC, obviously, which I'm recording on right now. So, like, those are going to be my systems going forward. Like, even though I've decided on the discless PS5, that system is fucking stupid looking. I hate it.
I don't know, I think it's okay. I don't know. Why do you hate it?
It has this design that's kind of reminiscent of the original model Xbox 360.
Yeah, and I don't really understand why people hated the 360 either.
I don't like...
Nobody hated the 360 design.
I don't
Except
like...
it has a disc tray.
I don't like curved, angular designs of things. I tend to like squared and boxy things.
So the PS4 was right up your alley.
No, not
Or was
even.
it angled? Was it angled and you don't like that?
Yeah.
So you're gonna like the new Xbox, which is just like a block.
I love the design of the Xbox Series X, the fucking mini fridge. Like, I love that. You should see the case of my gaming PC. Like, it's this big rectangle with a bunch of like grills and vents on it, and I'm all about that.
Yeah. What was it? It was Halo Infinite, and it's coming, and it's gonna be a launch title, and then recently they're like, well, actually it's coming in 2021, and because like the sneak peek of it kind of looked meh. And like all it has is really Xbox right now. I mean, all it has is like Halo. Right now, so.
Well, actually, there is another title that's launching with the Xbox Series X, but it's also going to be on PC. It's called The Medium. It's from the makers of Layers of Fear and the Blair Witch game.
I love Layers of Fear.
Yeah, it's from the Bloober team, the developers of Layers of Fear and the Blair Witch game, which is really good. Actually, really good. Like it's better than you think it would be.
I love Layers of Fear. Like I think I've we played through it maybe only once, but damn, I played Layers of Fear, the little standalone sequel to it, and we've recently played Layers of Fear 2.
I still haven't played Layers of Fear 2, but the music for the medium is actually done by Akira Yamamoto.
Yamaoka.
Yeah, the guy, the Silent Hill guy. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you said Akira, I knew what you were up to.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh.
The medium looks.
Hey, you're pulling me over.
Yeah, the medium looks really good. It is launching on PC as well, which is because I'm not planning on buying an Xbox Series X, unfortunately, at launch at least.
I can't at launch. No.
I've been beefing up my computer slowly over the course of the past few months, and I finally added the final piece of the puzzle today, which was a new video card.
Nice.
So everything in my computer is fully upgraded and future-proofed for at least the next few years. I am ready for next gen.
Take that. No time police are coming after you.
Speaking of being ready for next gen, this week on Too Much Energon, we're talking about the 5th episode in production order, which was the 7th episode in US broadcast order, and 6th episode in Canadian broadcast order.
What was it called? Equal Measures?
Fallen Comrades.
No, last week was Equal Measures.
No, last week was Equal Measures.
Fallen Comrades.
Yes,
yeah.
Last week, probably the best episode of our podcast thus far.
This week, wow, like this episode, they jump right into it. It's like, stasis pod, like inbound.
Yeah, so we open in orbit, and an asteroid or like space debris or whatever hits a stasis pod, which were established in the very beginning of the first episode. They were essentially crew members of the Axelon who were chilling out in stasis in these little space pod thingies for
and
one
like
reason,
a robot cryo sleep, right?
Yeah, basically for one reason or another. So they all got launched into orbit at the very beginning of Beast Wars Part 1 when the Axelon was going down. Yeah, so one of those stasis pods gets struck by some space debris and immediately starts going down, entering into orbit and crashes.
Falls out of orbit and crashes into the northern snowy area.
So presumably Canada.
Yeah, so somewhere where it's snowy. You get another good shot of the Earth that is very Earth-looking, and somewhere where it's snowy in the north, which is weird because it seems like they're in Africa, cheetahs, rhinoceros, and stuff.
For the most part, yeah.
It's very snowy, and apparently it's just like 100 or something kilometers away, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, there are mountains in Africa, so whatever.
Just no geographical placement in this show.
No, it's a little bit of everything.
But as the stasis pod is coming down, we get a little bit of foreshadowing because we see a white Siberian tiger looking up and watching the pod crash.
Mm-hmm.
Which
a very curious tiger.
Yes.
Fearless tiger that follows meteorites.
You know what they say about curiosity in cats?
That they are rewarded for exploring?
Exactly.
Stasis pods?
Exactly that. So
that's exactly what they say.
So the Maximals are we're at the Maximal base, the Axelon, and the Maximals pick up that this stasis pod has crashed, and Optimus Primal is like, I'm the only flyer. I have to get there because Megatron's going to try and launch his own flyers. Dinobot is like,
I'm not normally an advocate of caution, but in this case, I must register my concern.
Yeah, and he says something to the effect that Megatron does not always behave in a predictable fashion, or something like that.
He does not always behave as one might expect.
Yeah.
Which is true. Megatron's kind of cunning in that regard. I actually give him props in this episode. Except he gets called slag like 5 times.
Yeah, they say slag, which is like basically Transformers' way of saying shit or fuck.
Or some sort of Transformer swear.
some sort of curse word, but they say
Yeah.
slag a lot in this episode, like way more in than they do in most other episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Optimus says he'll want to reach the pod first, same as us. Right now it's a race, pure and simple. Optimus Primal, maximize!
Which last episode you were all like, "Oh, people should listen to Optimus," but in this episode it's like, maybe,
Maybe listen to Dinobot?
yeah.
Well, he actually makes a comment because Dinobot says, nonetheless, you will do me the honor of permitting me to exit first. I have suspicions.
Yeah.
And Optimus is like, fine, but make it quick. And like, he kind of goes out in that like little elevator, which as far as I can tell is the only way in and out of the Optimus base. And it
that little elevator platform thingy on the ship
comes up a lot, yeah.
And it only goes
halfway
down. Yeah, it only goes down like maybe a couple of feet. And Dinobot's actually in this kind of like cool like crouching pose with his
ready for action.
with his little like drill rapier.
And then he comes back up after scanning the heck out of everything, and he's like, my scanners detect no hostiles, yet something feels amiss. Yeah.
Permit me to lead a scouting patrol.
Yeah, that's what he says.
And Optimus is like,
there isn't time.
There's no time. One of my comrades is out there, and every second counts.
This is, and to speaking of what you were saying about like maybe not listen to him. Dinobot's like, your emotion chips are overriding your caution circuits, and I love that. I love that line. Your emotion chips are overriding your caution circuits. These are advanced feeling robots, but they have emotion chips.
There's a dumb line that a character that has not been introduced yet will say later, kind of along those lines, that I'll bring up when we get there. And so Dinobot is just like,
he insists upon a scouting patrol.
He's like, he says very like aggressively, he's like, I insist upon a scouting patrol. And Optimus is like, I am in command here. Now stand aside. And he like chest bumps him basically out of the way.
Are in the elevator and go down, and he like wastes no time. He's like, what does he call them again? Prime jets?
Prime jets, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, prime jets on, and he immediately goes up in the air and he turns to say some bullshit to them. I can't remember, but I mean,
something about he says something about like send a ground unit to follow me.
Right. Send a ground unit to follow me, and then like immediately Dinobot's suspicions are right, and he's shot out of the air, or he's still in the air, but he's shot from cover, and it cuts to Waspinator and Pterosaur.
Yeah,
and Waspinator's like, Waspinator, got him. And Pterosaur's like, oh yeah, watch this. And he turns, he's never had these the entire show that I know of. Shoulder cannons come out between his shoulders and neck, and he pops up.
I think he had them in Beast Wars Part 2 when Waspinator and Pterosaur, when they attack them at that little like exposed cave thing.
When they were flying. Yeah, and they attacked them in the little alcove where the stalagmites were.
Yeah. And we first got a glimpse of Stonehenge.
And, yeah, exactly. When they were looking out into the horizon and the giant Energon mountain in the background.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, like Waspinator and like Pterosaur have like this dumb little like competitive rivalry, because he's like, watch this, and he shoots him, and Optimus turns and his mouth slowly goes slowly like opens in surprise. I feel like he could have dodged it, and it like just wrecks Optimus. He falls on the ground and he short circuits and he doesn't move.
Yeah.
And
then Dinobot's
there.
Dinobot fucking eye lasers.
Just saying.
Dinobot fucking eye lasers a rock above Waspinator, and this was a thing that made me just like laugh out loud.
I love this.
I've watched this episode twice now in the past few days. This made me laugh out loud both times. He eye lasers this like bit of stone above Waspinator, and this giant ass boulder breaks off, and the camera like it's like a point of view shot of the boulder falling down toward Waspinator, and you see Waspinator look up at it. And then it just it is, and it just cuts to like a like frontal shot of this boulder just landing on Waspinator and
The clean side of the cut of the rock, just like flat on flat, just boom, completely flattens Waspinator, and like Pterosaur just takes a step back.
Yeah, like something out of fucking Looney Tunes.
and I'm like, wow, he is not going to be okay. And it cuts, yeah, it is very Looney Tunish. It cuts to Dinobot, and he goes, yes, and he actually does like an arm pump.
Oh, he does, yeah. He's like, yes.
No one else is around to see this, but he's just like, yes, finally, eye lasers work again. They work often. And then Pterosaur, right next to the rock, shoots it. It explodes into 1,000 pieces. And Waspinator isn't completely destroyed, but he's very like short-circuity.
Yeah, he's like all shorting out, and he's all like, Waspinator in trouble.
That's right. He's like, oh no, Waspinator in trouble. It's like, yeah, you are, buddy.
Yeah.
And then Pterosaur's like, we did our job. Come on, back to base. And then he picks him up. Yeah, he like grabs him by the arm and
they
like flies
away.
off with Waspinator's like limp corpse dangling off of his arm.
Yeah. And then Dinobot is just all like, cowards, face me, and he starts eye lasering them.
Oh yeah, he does. He starts like shooting eye lasers at them in the distance.
Yeah. So Cheetor shows up as the Predacon flyers are in the midst of fucking off. Cheetor shows up and maximizes and fires off some shots at them as they're fleeing. And then Dinobot sees Optimus, who is still in robot form at this point, on the ground with a straight up like exposed wound on his chest. And then and then
Cheetor is like, "Oh man, can you hear me, Big Bot?"
Yeah, and then Dinobot is all like, "Fear not, Optimus. I will." Something
I shall
like,
ensure that your funeral is a glorious one, as befits a warrior who died in battle.
Yeah, and then Optimus is like, "Afraid I'll have to miss it. I'm not scrap yet." And then Dinobot hilariously is like,
he raises a hand to his chin.
He's like, are you sure?
Are you certain?
Are you sure?
It would be a triumphant passage.
It would be a triumphant passage, which I'm just
most
like
triumphant.
Which I'm just like, good God, dude.
Are you certain?
Are you sure? Oh, it fucking killed me.
He's really.
I'm like,
Dinobot.
Never change, Dinobot. Never change.
He's like a samurai Viking. Man, he just loves death. If it ain't his, it's someone else's.
Yeah, well, like I've mentioned on previous episodes of the podcast, he is basically a Klingon.
Cheetor's like, will you knock it off? We gotta get Big Bot into the CR chamber.
Yeah,
and
so they
Optimus
bring
like, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yes.
Dinobot's like, okay, and he like picks Optimus up by the chest with one hand and like lifts him above his head and then like drops him.
Oh yeah.
For it's a weird shot, but I'm like, oh, I guess he is very strong.
It is a thing we've seen Dinobot do before in the show, like just like grab someone by their torso and lift them up with one hand. Like it's very much a Dinobot thing.
It is.
It's a Dinobot power play. So that from there we cut to the Predacon base where Pterosaur and Waspinator, who seemingly is
he's fine,
back in perfect health.
What the heck?
yeah, like
he was just as bad as Optimus, in my opinion.
Yeah.
completely being flattened by a giant boulder,
Yeah.
and
So
and
so
he's like fine in this shot.
yeah, so they're back at the Predacon ship, and Waspinator's perfectly fine. Megatron is just like
You
It-
idiot, pterosaur!
it is like so Optimus Primal has not been destroyed, no, or something to that effect. And
Yeah, yeah, and he's like,
and Pterosaur
you
is just like, but
Pterosaur.
we blew him half to scrap.
Yeah, he's not going. He's not flying anywhere anytime soon or something.
Yeah. No way he makes the stasis pod before we do. Megatron is just like, no, but they will still make an attempt. And then he pauses for a moment, and then he's like, yes, a land party. Which, I'm like,
Pterosaur just said that.
well, yeah, when I heard that earlier, I was like, okay, like, great job putting fucking 1 and 1 together there, bro. Like, their only
fly.
their only
Oh.
their only flying member is now taken out. So, like,
Here's
what
the
does that
thing.
leave them?
And this is why that part's confusing for me. Didn't he order Waspinator and Pterosaur to take out Optimus because of that reason? But it's like he's
Yes.
putting that together now, and I'm like, what? You planned this, didn't you? Why
Yeah.
are you confused?
Yeah, Megatron's plans in this episode are very confusing. And, like, it doesn't stop here. And I'll bring that up when we get to it.
Yeah, what happens now? Oh, they're gonna attack the base because they'll leave somebody behind while the rest go and retrieve the pod.
Yeah,
So,
Megatron.
tells the flyers.
Megatron tells Waspinator and Pterosaur to continue on to secure the pod,
And reprogram it to be a Predacon.
which is actually a pretty good line. So what he says is he was like, continue on to the stasis pod and ensure that the protoform robot within is reprogrammed into a Predacon.
Yeah, it's a
Because
good way of just explaining
That
why
line,
they're racing to it.
yeah, that line explains basically everything you need to know about
Yeah,
the
the full
plot
plot.
of this episode. Like
And
right
future
there.
ones.
Yeah.
When there are more pods, like, okay, they can reprogram them.
Yeah,
So it's like a contest to see who gets them first.
yeah, it's a very good and succinct bit of exposition, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really clever way of adding more characters to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're right, and he takes the bugs with him, the subterranean bugs. I mean, he takes Tarantulas.
He takes the arachnids.
Scorponok. Yeah,
Yeah, so he's like
I think.
so after
technically,
Waspinator and
scorpions
Terra.
aren't arachnids.
No, they are, because they have 8 legs.
I don't think they are. It's something about their body segments and the number of eyes as well. Doesn't matter. He's
I
a
could be
giant
wrong.
bug. He's way bigger than an actual scorpion, and he shoots missiles.
And
So
Cyber
he
Beast.
takes. he takes.
Which we'll get to eventually.
He takes the 2 smartest Predacons with him, to attack, which isn't saying a lot.
It's not
to-
really.
But it's also true with him to attack the Axolon. Oh, is this the part where like we get some like lawnmower man like crazy moments with like Dinobot interacting with the consciousness of Optimus?
Not quite.
yet?
No. So we cut to the land team of the Maximals, which is Cheetor, Rhinox, and Rat Trap.
Yeah, Rat Trap's like just gleefully like riding Rhinox.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
So they're running across the snowy landscape, and they come to this bridge, which looks basically just like a reskin of the bridge from Beast Wars Part 2 that gets blown up.
I want to know how these like perfect like little flimsy bridges form between these canyons.
I'm honestly, I'm 90% positive it is just a
might
reused
as well
asset from that episode that they
The color white
that
for snow.
Yeah, that they just change the color of for snow. So they
And then
come.
they get shot at, and
So they come to this.
Rhinox like screeches to a halt when they're getting shot at, aren't they? Or do they get shot right away? I can't remember.
It doesn't matter. The
Doesn't matter.
the flyers show up. They terrorize. They start shooting at them, and the Maximals transform and start shooting back. And then all of a sudden, like Rat Trap is like, "Oh no, the bridge!"
Yep.
And then Pterosaur and Waspinator flying toward either side of the bridge, and they just like poof right through it.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
through both sides.
I watched that twice, and I was like, "What's going on?"
It's like,
there?
okay, so is this bridge just made of straight up snow?
Yes.
If it like, why would you want to cross that then? That doesn't look like
Hey,
that doesn't look like a
maybe
very stable bridge.
Maybe they saved the Maximals' lives
Could be. I mean,
by accident.
so the bridge gets taken out.
Yeah, and then Rat Trap in like radio comms the base, and he's like, "Come in, chop a face. Are you there?"
Oh yeah, right. He was like, Maximal base, this is Rat Trap. And we cut back to the Maximal base. Dinobot's like kind of
Dinobot's in his
casual
raptor form.
Yeah, he's in his raptor form, and he's kind of casually walking toward the computer console, and Rat Trap's just like, "Hello, you read me, chop a face?"
Dinobot's like, "Speak, vermin."
And Rat Trap's just like, the Predacons trashed the bridge. No way we're getting to that stasis pod now.
Before them, yeah. And he's like, "No excuses, you pathetic rodent."
Keep
I don't
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just in a very commanding voice. He's just like, keep moving.
Calls him a pathetic rodent and vermin, and
Which
just-
which in this
I mean,
moment he is, but in this moment I'm kind of wondering. I'm like, who put Dinobot in charge? Like in terms of like ranking in the Maximals.
Dinobot's really enjoying being in the the command seat in this one. And I think he hangs up on Rat Trap. Rat Trap is like, "Why I oughta, you stupid little," and then like he just like Raptor presses a button
He does,
and like
yeah.
hangs up on him.
And then so Dinobot is all like, computer, access and activate core consciousness of Optimus Primal, which is apparently a thing you can do.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is some like cyberpunk shit
It is pretty cool.
going on. And it shows, it kind of like pops up and you see like a 3D laser schematic of
a wire
the CR chamber.
A wireframe model, yeah.
Oh, is it like a wireframe model?
Yeah.
Of like Optimus and the CR chamber, and it like kind of spins, and it like zooms in, and you see a very human-looking brain inside like Optimus's head. And what does he say here?
I mean,
activate core.
I mean, he is an ape, so
I guess they have. I would have thought it was they didn't have humanish brains, but I guess they do. They have biological-looking brains. And do you remember
Yeah,
what he
apparently.
says? Something about activating the core, activate his core consciousness.
yeah,
Is that what he said?
yeah. He says, computer, activate and access core consciousness of Optimus Primal, and then we see this kind of almost Zordon style disembodied head of Optimus Primal just floating there.
Oh,
And
floating on that middle console
yeah, and
thing.
and he wakes up and he sounds very sleepy.
He's very calm and very sleepy.
And he's like, "Oh, don't tell me. Let me guess. Problems already?" And
Yeah, very, very like calmly.
and Dinobot is just like, "Indeed, the Predacons will surely reach the pod before we do." And Optimus is all like, "Oh, isn't there something we can do? Can we contact the stasis pod somehow?"
Like remotely, and he says no,
They-
it's too far away. And then he says, what about laser relay? And he
And-
says there's no line of sight.
Yeah, no, impossible. We would need line of sight transmission.
Yeah.
And Optimus is like, isn't there something we could bounce it off of? A mountain? A cloud? Which I'm like, really? Like bouncing a laser off is that a thing you can do?
Yeah, we do that. We do that kind of shenanigans.
Oh, really?
We bounce lasers off the moon. Speaking of,
Yeah, I was just about to say.
yeah, we
On topic.
we have and do that kind of thing, and then
Who is we?
it's like, yeah, humans.
Okay.
Who's we? Me and my partner.
Okay.
um,
Just for funsies, or are you trying?
Science,
Are you
scientist.
are you trying? Do you have maximal stasis pods you are trying to contact?
I wish that'd be cool.
Okay.
It'd be like build a friend, build a bear, but for robot friends.
Build a bear, but for transformers.
Yeah, it'd be rad.
Bonus points if they actually transform into bears.
Yeah, that would be a very Canadian thing. A bear, a cougar. What else?
A beaver.
A beaver. Yeah, that's a giant Canadian goose. Which would be like the Dinobot of Canada. Like,
Yeah,
it'd just be like a
basically.
menace and just be hard hard to deal with, and
I just
he'd
imagine.
have eye lasers.
I just imagine him though, like having like a Donald Duck type voice, even though he's like this insane asshole.
Yeah, like a Dinobot personality, but Donald Duck voice.
Yeah, yeah. It's like he's this insane asshole who just like fucking murders motherfuckers, but his voice is still just all like.
Do Canadian geese have like teeth? Like, don't they have like serrated beaks or some? Who knows? Probably.
I have no idea. Let's just go with yes.
Yeah, let's say yes.
Let's say yes, because fuck those birds.
Yeah, they don't give any fucks. They're also very big.
They are very big. When I walk to work every morning, I walk by Royal Athletic Park, which, I mean, sorry, listen, this is local talk, but I walk by Royal Athletic Park every morning on the route that I've been taking for the past couple months to get to my workplace, which is it's a baseball field. It's an open air baseball field. When I'm walking by it every morning at about like 5:30-ish a.m., there's always like dozens of geese just chilling out. Without fail, every single morning, just dozens upon
They
dozens.
found their
of them.
hangout spot.
And they're just chilling out on this like open air baseball field.
Yeah, they seem to like big grassy areas. So like baseball fields, school fields,
Yeah.
graveyards. Yeah, they accompany death, is what I say. I don't even. Oh, remember when the bridge is taken out?
Yeah, what are we even talking about at this point?
Rhinox, I want to jump back. Rhinox is like, that was some cold slag.
That
Like,
was
it's a
some
noun.
cold, hard slag.
Yeah, which is funny because Dinobot's like, you idiots, go find a way anyway. But then they do. But in the shot where we're following the flyers, there's no other bridges around. So, like, how the heck they get there just mere minutes behind the flat? Anyway, something about
Yeah,
talking to
anyway.
Optimus, and Dinobot's like, maybe there's one way, because they're talking about, like,
Oh, yeah.
bouncing a laser off something.
And
Yeah.
Dinobots, this is a thing we've mentioned in previous episodes, but like facial expressions, Dinobots' facial expressions in this particular scene are quite animated.
Yeah, they do a good job of expressing emotion in a raptor face.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
And he's cunning. And I can't really remember. Do we jump to him building that little satellite dish on the Axelon? Is that what we cut to?
I think from here we cut to Megatron and Scorponok and
Oh, you're right.
Tarantulas.
They're
Kinda-
charging at the maximal base.
Yeah, they kind of show up, and
Oh, they get the drop. Right.
and Megatron is basically just like, yes, the traitor Dinobot. This is an excellent opportunity. Yes.
Yeah, and he says, as suspected, the traitor Dinobot. So, like, he kind of thought that they'd leave Dinobot behind,
I
which
mean-
is interesting.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because like Dinobot and Optimus were the two injured ones.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And he had previously speculated that Optimus and perhaps one other Maximal would be left behind to guard the base.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and I think what happens, he just walks up in his in his beast form, Megatron.
Yeah.
Dinobot does he say anything to Dinobot before he maximizes, or does Dinobot just go maximize and turn? turn into his robot form?
He shows up and says something along the lines of, like, my former subordinate, or something like that. He says something to address him, and Dinobot immediately is just like, and transforms, which I love how much Dinobot fucking hates Megatron. Like, it's just like, I actually, like, it's so much that I want to know more about their past relationship before they crashed on this planet, because Megatron, or Dinobot clearly has some issues with Megatron.
Yeah, he's got some
like
blood debt.
Like, there's something going on there.
Oh, before that, it shows, so Dinobot's on top of the Axelon, kind of fidgeting with a satellite dish that's affixed, kind of like a gold-looking satellite dish that's affixed to the ship. And I find this funny because he's doing this, like, mechanical work in his beast form. Yeah. And so I just find the image funny that he's, like, welding something, or like affixing this to the ship with his like little dinosaur
his little raptor hands. Yeah. But his like, little like 3-pronged raptor hands.
Yeah, or maybe he'd use his mouth and his feet sometimes, who knows. But anyway, he's like, he transforms.
I mean, if Jurassic Park taught me anything, like the way a raptor opens doors is with their feet.
Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah, clever girls.
Yeah, they're all clever girls, or at least the ones on that island. What? Oh, Megatron, right? Megatron's like, oh, no. Yeah, he doesn't transform right away. He kind of...
No, there's no need for hostility. No, I've only come to talk. Yes.
Easy, girl.
Yeah. Stop being so clever, girl.
And what does he say? We could end the Beast Wars right now if you just help us take the ship. And you would serve as my second in command.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. It's like that kind of bullshit that obviously Megatron is full of shit about.
But it's like being second in command, like what do you do? I guess.
Well, and obviously. And like I've mentioned on previous episodes, like, being second in command of what?
Of Scorponok?
And like, yeah, basically. And Megatron even says, he's like, we could rule the Predacons and the whole galaxy, and you could be my second in command. Yes. But it's like, at this point, like, really, like, the Predacons are just 5 dudes. Like...
Yeah, what do you mean?
What are you even ruling? Like
a planet, I guess.
For the listeners, I work at a fucking grocery store. I've worked at grocery stores for like close to a decade now, and I've been at a like supervisory-ish position pretty consistently for the past like maybe like 7 or so years. And it's like, this is all, like, to me, in my mind, this is equivalent to being, like, really proud and willing to just, like, throw away everything to essentially just be a supervisor at a grocery store. It's like, it's like, oh, you could be in charge of, like, 3 other dudes at night while you guys like fucking face the grocery department. It's like, it's not really that exciting.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you could be my second in command, and it's just like, what, over the team of bugs and pterosaur?
Yeah, basically.
And Dinobot screams like, eat slag, and fucking eye lasers him like
yep.
Like, full damage, point blank. Well, not point blank, but like 20 feet away, and like Megatron just takes it, and he kind of like wobbles a bit, and he like looks at him, and I don't remember what he says, like something like, "Oh, I was afraid you might
vaporize him."
Vaporize him. Oh yeah, and right behind him, as if they were waiting to see. Megatron's great at stalling. They were waiting to see his answer. Scorponok and Tarantulas, like,
I'm pretty sure they would have fucked up. I'm pretty sure they would have fucked up Dinobot regardless of what he had said.
Oh, you think they were gonna get him anyway?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was just stalling for them to get in position. So
Yeah,
they somehow
which like
come out of nowhere like ninjas.
which in general I feel like Megatron kind of underestimates Dinobot left and right because like
Yep.
Dinobot is not stupid enough to fall for this shit. Like he's smarter than this, but Megatron consistently, and even as the show goes on from here, Megatron consistently tries to pull this kind of bullshit with him.
Yeah, so they like ninjas, Tarantulas and Scorponok just like step from scene right and scene left, from stage right and stage left.
Yeah.
And like Dinobot's just kind of not moving because he hears like Tarantulas first, and then he's like, oh shit. And before he gets a chance to kind of like make a move, they just blast him and he flies off the top of the Axelon, falls on the ground,
Yeah.
and Megatron finish him. So quite clearly Megatron wants to destroy him.
Yeah.
And he like Metal Gear Solid shimmies away. No, he
Yeah.
rolls. Yeah.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
rolls.
so Scorponok and Tarantulas are on top of the Axelon and walk down, and they both like shoot down at Dinobot, and Dinobot just like completely action like roll.
He like action rolls.
he like action rolls to the side, out of the way, underneath the ship.
He rolls onto the little
And-
shitty elevator.
Yeah, he rolls onto the elevator platform.
It's basically its own character at this point. And apparently,
It's
you
like
can get
that.
voice commands to it.
It's like that. It's like this and the Predacon ships like floaty, hover things.
The terror boards.
The terror boards, right?
Yeah, are kind of like their own little characters.
Yeah.
And he rolls, lands on the half elevator shaft.
And at this
thing.
point, we see he straight up has a hole in his back. Like he's
does
been, yeah, he's been hit hard. He's
Oof.
got a hole in his back.
They shot him right in the back, right? What does he say? There's like a voice line, and he's like, "Computer, activate
Auto cannons
auto
on.
cannons, auto cannons on."
Auto cannons on.
And then the elevator shaft kind of pulls him up into the base.
And then we see like point of view shots from some autocannons that have popped up right where Tarantulas and Scorponok are standing.
Right, there's like a metal panel that like slowly slides down.
Yeah.
Scorponok and Tarantula slowly turn and they look at these guns and they don't move. The
Yeah.
guns aren't doing anything. And they don't move.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like
Tarantula's
it's like a
sidesteps.
it's like a fucking T-Rex. It's like the fucking T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you noticed that too? I was like, hold up. They're motion activated?
That's immediately what it made me think of was the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
so
instinctually they kind of know this.
So yeah, and so Tarantulas makes this like awkward, slow little sidestep, and then the cannons just focus on him and shoot him and send him flying.
Yeah,
like
they immediately turn without hesitation and just shoot him, and he flies off the ship. And then Scorponok is left there, and he's like comically not moving,
yeah,
like a fucking mime.
But he is so afraid.
His weird little eye visor is like looking left and right, and then his teeth start
clattering,
and his little
and he starts
claws
shaking.
His scorpion claws start.
It's
chittering.
it's honestly almost adorable how afraid he is in this scene. It's like, oh man,
because
you're so precious.
He is so precious. Like, what's he gonna do? Stay there forever? So he's like chittering, and then eventually he's trembling so much that the guns
just
turn
shoot
and
him
blast
and blow him away, and then immediately
his corpse flies off, skitters across the ground, and bangs into Tarantulas' like unmoving
right.
body.
I forgot about that. Yeah, and then so after they get taken out, all of the guns. Every gun basically on the ship awakens and just points at Megatron, who is just chilling there, not doing anything, but they all point at Megatron and start shooting.
Oh, yeah, there's like 10 guns. They all just like pop up, even though Megatron wasn't moving, and he's like, shit.
Yeah, and so they all flee, and then Megatron is like, forget the Maximal base. let us secure the pod. Yes.
And
Which
I'm
I'm
like-
like,
Who's he talking to?
who is he talking to? But also, like, you should have just done that from the beginning, bro. Like, you're the one who has wasted so much time, like, focusing on the maximal base. Like,
Well, the maximal base win, to be honest, he didn't know there were going to be guns, and that was a really good time to strike, and they would have won the Beast Wars if they had destroyed or taken the ship. Because, like, that's it. Like, they have nowhere to go, the Maximals.
oh, they could
So,
have,
like,
they could have gone and lived in a cave or something.
could have just been animals, lived animal lives, like someone does a little bit later.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess like Optimus could just be like, I'm gonna go hang out with my homies and like go out in the jungle and live like take his own gorilla herd, tribe, pride. What do you call like a gorilla's like harem? A harem. That's what you call it. He could go get his own harem of gorilla ladies, for what it's worth, I guess. I don't. Anyways, who's Megatron talking to? I like how Megatron's always like, "Oh, the real prize."
I
is the...
studied primatology in university as an elective.
Oh, really?
I really should know this.
I
I think it might just be a pack.
maybe just a pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, who's he talking to? Because I'm pretty sure Scorponok and Tarantulas are out.
No, they're all in beast form at this point, running toward the camera.
Are they? Because they don't come. They don't arrive with Megatron when they get to the pod. It's just Megatron.
I think at this point though,
running
like
on his own.
they're all in the. I think they're all in the same shot at this point.
Okay. Weird. I wonder where they went then. Because they're out for the count the rest of the episode.
But Megatron is a character who talks to himself quite regularly. In fact,
So maybe he is.
there isn't. One of my favorite lines in the first season of Beast Wars is in an episode later on in this season where one character asks Megatron straight up, like, why do you always talk to yourself? And Megatron straight up is just like, I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation. Cheers.
I actually remember that scene, even though I haven't seen the show since I was like 13.
Yeah.
I actually do remember that little conversational piece.
Yeah, it is the character who asks him that is not in the show at this point. So
Anyways,
yeah.
let's not talk about what will happen. Let's talk about
What has happened?
Comrades and things. Where are we now? Well, what's going on here?
Fallen comrades.
Waspinator and Pterosaur like eye lasering the guy with the pod. Is that where we are?
What is happening? Random Transformers bullshit.
I think that's what's going on. Am I right? Yes. Let's say yes. Pterosaur. Is it Pterosaur or Waspinator? Which one of them has
Let's just
eye
say
laser?
we're at the North Pole now.
We're at the North Pole. And the flyers.
Actually, we should mention there was a shot where Dinobot's little like contact laser satellite thingy shoots up into the sky and bounces off the moon, and
Optimus activates it.
and actually connects with the stasis pod, and we see another foreshadowing shot of this like random Siberian tiger, and then the stasis pod tries to open, and then there is a green and white hand that tries reaching up.
Tries reaching out, but it like short circuits and falls back inside.
But it shorts out almost immediately. And Rhinox mentions at some point, kind of around this time, he's like, yeah, if the stasis pod cracked on entry, then the protoform maximal within the pod would be exposed to the planet's energon.
So it's not just about like going and activating him as a maximal before the Predacons reprogram him. It's about saving his life.
Yeah.
Their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dinobot's like moon laser like actually worked. And so what the show doesn't really tell us, it's kind of implied, is that that's that laser that Dinobot like aims at the moon, bounces off a signal and hits the pod, that's hitting him and programming him as a Maximal, correct? Is that
Yes.
what's happening there? Okay.
Or at least sending instructions of, like, what you should do. Because,
Hmm.
as we will learn very shortly, the protoform within the pod doesn't really know who he is or what he's supposed to
Yeah,
do.
there was some damage upon
My
impact
my
where
my identity circuits were damaged.
my
which I
identity.
which I found really really funny, and that was the thing that I was kind of alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
My
So you got
identity,
emotion chips.
my identity circuits. It's like
So you got emotion chips, you got caution circuits, and you have identity. What
identity
was it?
circuits. Yeah,
And identity circuits.
yeah.
Very they're very susceptible to brain to computer brain damage. These transformers.
It's very 1996.
You're right. The moon lasers worked. They got him. But like, yeah, the hand falls back in, and you're right. Yeah, and then it kind of like catches up with the Maximals, and they're like, I guess they found another way around this canyon.
Yeah, apparently they found another like flimsy ass snow bridge, I guess.
And yeah, earlier it kind of showed the flyers, and it was like, oh, we're a couple minutes away. And then Waspinator's like, Megatron will reward me handsomely for reprogramming the pod.
And
And then
Pterosaur is
Pterosaur,
all like, "Not if I reach it first."
yeah, um,
Which I'm
so
like, I was wondering at this point, I'm like, what exactly is Megatron gonna reward you with?
with like a attaboy points.
Yeah, because it's like,
Pterosaur, you are now my second in command. Scorponok,
like
get
you.
out of here. Good boy points.
You guys are just marooned on this planet. Like, what exactly? Like, what is there to reward someone with?
Do they
other
have
than
energon chips? Does he like okay, just one? Would you do it for an energon chip? Rah, rah! Like, does he give him little treats?
What would you do for an energon bar?
Reprogram a stasis pod. So I don't know. Are they eye lasering it now? At what point, which one of the two has eye lasers?
So Waspinator is eye lasering the pod. The pod
Because they can't open it.
trying to open it. It's seemingly not working, but he's still doing it anyway. And then Megatron
the
Maximals
show up
Oh,
first,
do they?
right? Because they have them outnumbered, and they pull out their guns and they're like, "Step back, gum or slag or whatever." And
Gumslag.
or no, they all kind of arrive at the same time. You're right, because he's like, hurry up, before the Maximals like get here. And then one of the Maximals is like, too late, blah blah blah. And then Megatron kind of like shows up, and I'm like, how fast is Megatron? The others have been running there the entire episode, and Megatron just left the Axelon. I don't know. Maybe he has. Does he have T-Rex like jets and skates where he can go fast? I don't know. Anyways,
Not
he's
yet.
Also, I am remembering. Am I remembering?
You are,
You're
yeah.
doing it, Peter. You remember. There's a little hook reference. Anyway, wow,
Using your imagination.
you're using your imagination, Peter. We should watch Hook. Unrelated, but
Season 2.
uh,
Hook does not. I tried watching it again. Like, I fucking loved that movie when I was a little kid, but
so did I.
I tried watching it about, like, maybe 10 years or so ago. It does not hold up.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare
I say as I haven't watched it as an adult either. So yeah, Megatron shows up and he's like, "No, we wouldn't want that. What or no, we got to get this open before Megatron something something." And he's like, "We wouldn't want that. No." And so it's like,
So
uh-oh,
Megatron
we're
shows
on
up
three
and
here.
terrorizes and is all
He
like,
terrorizes.
"Open the pod!" And
Bitch.
Waspinator continues eye lasering the pod, and it doesn't seem to be working at all.
The Maximals are
Then-
like, "Hey now, you're an all-star."
Hey now.
Aim their weapons at them.
And so the Maximals are there and are like, "Hey, that's our friend in there. We're not going to let you reprogram him as a Predacon." And Megatron's all like, "Oh, but I know your weakness." And he takes his little, like, T-Rex head laser thing and points it at two tigers.
They're just
And
By the way,
That
these are
just-
brave-ass tigers.
that just happen to be chilling out there.
They're just chilling.
And he shoots out the ice platform thing that they're chilling on, and they fall
Yeah.
into this little like ravine, like this
Little pit.
little pit type thing.
And they go rawr, and he like aims his laser right at them.
Yeah, he aims his like T-Rex head laser gun arm thingy at them, and he's like, "I know your weakness, Maximal. Surrender."
right.
Basically, he's like, "Surrender, or I will destroy them." Rhinox, Cheetor,
yeah.
and Rat Trap.
Well, Rhinox is like, "They have no part in this."
Yeah, let them go. They have no part in this. And
He's like, "Exactly, they're innocent animals."
yeah, basically.
Bastard.
And then Rat Trap is just like, "You win, you stinking pile of slag."
Which is like the 6th time he's been called slag today.
I know, it's like the sixth
word
time
of the day.
we've heard slag, which
But I mean, I like this moment because it's like,
I
Okay,
feel
fine.
like for the intro of this episode, I should cut together a hit piece of just slag.
all of the characters saying slag.
Just like slag, slag, slag.
Slag! Slag!
You stinking pile of slag.
Pterosaur from the previous episode. Ah, slag.
I'm gonna bust a cap in your slag.
He almost busts a cap in Cheetor's ass. So it's a touching moment because they're like, fine, because they don't want like these two random tigers to die. They value life, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that. And then they finally get he's like, all right, now get that open. And eventually the eye lasers apparently work.
It just worked. And it's like, there's no visual cue that it's actually worked at all. It's just like
No.
Waspinator keeps eye lasering it, and then all of a sudden it just opens.
It's a multi-tool. I'm telling you, more of them need eye lasers. Oh, and it cuts to them. It doesn't show the pod first. It cuts to the three Predacons, and they're very surprised.
And Pterosaur is just like, ah! Straight up. That's his reaction. He's like,
He just goes,
ah! And then Waspinator's like, "Urgh." And Megatron's
face
just
is
like,
so distraught.
he's just like, what?
Yeah, that's right. What? He doesn't. He does not.
It's
He's not happy.
empty. Where is the Maximal? And then we hear a voice say, right here.
Right here. And it cuts to one of the tigers, the Siberian tigers,
Yep.
and he says, "Tigatron, maximize."
I would like to point out that Tigatron is voiced by a wonderful Canadian character actor named Blue Mankuma.
Whoa, that's a rad name.
Yeah, he is a African Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would actually say that. But he is a black Canadian actor. I initially discovered him as he starred as Sergeant Reed in the 1994 Canadian live-action RoboCop TV series that not a lot of people remember, but I remember it because I fucking love RoboCop. And
You do.
I watched that show as it originally aired, but he played the sergeant on that show, and that was
Oh,
the
cool. So he's not just a voice actor.
no, he's not.
Huh.
And he ended up he was in a lot of specifically Canadian TV in the mid to late 90s. I haven't seen him in anything in honestly a couple decades at this point.
What's his name?
Blue Mankuma.
Mankuma, huh?
BLU and then Mankuma. I think it
Oh,
was.
this guy. Oh, wow. As soon as you see his face, you're like, oh, I've seen this guy and stuff.
Right? He was a
Yeah.
pretty prolific character actor of like Canadian
Absolutely.
genre fiction.
Absolutely.
Canadian genre TV of the mid to
One
late
of those
90s.
faces you immediately recognize but can't quite place.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So he did the voice of
I didn't know.
Tigatron.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
He
yeah.
matches, and he looks pretty cool. Gotta say, he's a cat.
Yeah, the Tigatron action figure was
I mean,
straight.
you could tell.
Well, the Tigatron action figure was a redeco, which is a thing that I brought up on a previous episode of the Cheetor action figure. And to be
And you can
perfectly
kind of tell on the show.
to be perfectly honest, like I kind of think that maybe the reason why they introduced him in the show was so they could basically just, for the most part, reuse the Cheetor model, but just swap out the head and the color.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You
Save-
could tell it. It's
save a
positioned
little-
the same.
Save a little bit of money, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Why not? Well, you make some. And oh, yeah, and he just straight up like starts opening fire on the Predacons,
Yeah.
and now it's just a huge like gunfight. Like the three Maximals, they also open fire. Everyone's shooting at each other, and who shows up? Right when they're all shooting at each other, Optimus to save the day with his frickin' prime jets and his like shoulder cannons.
Yep. So he launches some prime missiles, and then
They all miss. Everyone misses, by the way.
and then the Predacons decide to fuck off.
Yeah, Megatron's like, retreat, blah blah blah, and they run off again. Not a single one of them has been hit, but amazingly somehow. And as they're running over like a snowy bank, Tigatron's like wrist, the bottom of his wrist, like opens, and there's this little nozzle thing, and he shoots. It kind of looks like a low yield nuclear device. It like lobs, like it doesn't propel. It's just like a bomb that's kind of like launched, and it follows Megatron over the hill and kind of lands and explodes. And Megatron yells something as he's hit by Tigatron's bomb, but I can't remember what it is. Shit! I'll get you! Slag it all! Something like that. A weird little weapon, but I guess they want to showcase that he's different. He's got like his own things.
Not eye lasers.
Not eye lasers, though. I mean, I guess that's not really a
Oh.
maximal thing.
Megatron is all like, "Ugh, blast you all."
Does he say blast you all?
He does, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Blast you all! And it's comical because it's in the distance as he's being,
Yeah.
like, exploded.
Yeah, it's like off in the distance. He's all like, "Oh, blast you all."
And then immediately Optimus, like, transforms into his beast mode
Yeah.
and lands right in front of Tigatron, and I think everyone transforms into their beast
Yeah,
mode, right?
they all go back to beast mode, and Optimus is like, "Greetings, Tigatron, is it? I'm Optimus." And
Yeah, the leader of the Maximals.
Tigatron's basically like, "Pleased to meet you." And Optimus is like, yeah, you sure had us worried for a bit there. Our base is like blah blah clicks.
Yeah, Tigatron says, but before they kind of get into it, Tigatron says, like, because he said, we were worried about you, and he was like, so was I. I couldn't remember. I didn't know who I was or whose side I was on, until I saw you Maximals,
Well,
stand up for us.
well, yeah, and he says that because Optimus is all like, "Oh yeah, we could use another soldier on our team. Our
Oh,
base,
right, on our team.
our base is like blah blah
100
kilometer."
clicks south.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right.
Tigatron's just like, "No, I'm sorry, but no. My identity circuits were damaged in the crash, and I didn't really know who I was or which side I was on until you risked your lives to save me. So for now,
That
I
was
th-
really touching.
I
What
I
was
I think I would like to remain up here in the wild with my kind." And he looks over and sees like this other tiger in this like
the
straight
one
up.
that the one that the device scanned? Because, oh, by the way, it didn't really tell us this in the show. The pods, they have a little beacon that scans for nearby DNA
Yeah,
to take their
DNA
form from.
sequencers. That is a
Yeah,
thing that will come up again in
yeah, and it
future episodes.
doesn't show us that. But if that tiger, that curious tiger, didn't follow the falling, if this tiger didn't chase meteorites, maybe he wouldn't have been able to find a form in time.
Could be. Uh,
Yeah.
so this, yeah, so he looks over to this tiger who is straight up just like in this, like, kind of like ass in the air, like one paw raised, like straight up like cat, like almost like cat, like fuck me position, which was really weird.
I didn't, unlike Christopher, I do not sexualize cats in their positions. um, but
I will
actually,
not.
this is really
For the
touching.
record, I will not edit out me saying that. Like that is going. That is
That
going
doesn't,
in the podcast. The fact that I said that, but
of
like
course.
I like the fact that like Tigatron gets an offer to like go join the Maximal Army, and he's basically like, no, I'm going to stay here and go like nail this tiger chick.
Okay, we had completely different interpretations of the ending. So the ending for me was, and he says this, for me, because his identity circuits were like fried,
Yeah.
I am more beast than I am maximal. And when they
He
ask him to
says
come, he
I
says,
feel I am more tiger than Maximal, and
I feel like I'm more tiger. Yeah.
until my identity circuits fully repair themselves, I would like to remain in the wild with my own kind. Which I'm kind of like, dude, you've been a tiger for like fucking 10
5
minutes.
minutes. And
Okay.
so, and for me, what's really touching about the scene, like I almost like shed a tear, and
Oh wow.
no, I actually did, because they were like, Rat Trap says something that's just like, oh, we could use a scout this far north anyway,
Yeah, and
and then they
Rhinox
all
is
kind
all
of wish
like,
him,
yeah, Rhinox is all like, sounds good to me.
yeah, they all kind of wish him like well, and like Optimus is like, oh, very well, I have a feeling that we'll see each other again, though. Like, they don't go, whoa, hey, now you're one of us. Like, you have to come along. They don't even try to go, hey, well, actually, like, if you ever need us, or you get your blah 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 back and your memory and
Yeah.
whatever. No, they're just like really chill with being like, you know what, you want to be free and hang out and like be a tiger. Yeah, that's cool. And they don't even say when your like chip gets back in shape and repairs itself, come and find us or whatever. Like, they kind of walk off And it's really touching because like they don't mind if they don't see him again. Like they value freedom, and that's, I don't know. I really liked that.
No, I definitely agree. I appreciate the like kind of you do you attitude that they have
Yeah.
about it. And I think it comes from the fact that they're probably at least from the fact that they're not a militaristic unit. They're just explorers. They're just they're a pack of scientists basically.
Yeah. I
They're a pack of scientists, a student on his practicum, and a fucking engineer.
yeah. And they just like leave, and it leaves with a shot of one of the tigers. I think it's actually Tigatron, and he's on a snowbank and he's looking up at the stars and the aurora borealis, the
Yeah,
northern lights,
yeah,
and he says something like, um, "I will just follow the path laid before me," or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh
yeah.
man, I remember now, like watching this, that he was actually my favorite. Like I don't know, that struck a lot of like chords with my feels, and it does even like now. I'm like it's he's like a free tiger, man. Like he's doing his thing, and that's okay. Screw the Beast Wars.
Yeah, I think the line is be the path that layeth before me, I will follow.
I I like him. He's like already he's like a little poetic, and just can't wait to see this guy again,
Yeah,
even if it's like few and far between.
he's very zen.
I love Zen Tiger.
At least when I was a kid, anyway, my favorite episode of season one is actually a two-parter that comes up about probably around episode 15 or so. So we're not going to
Okay,
get there
much
for a
later.
little bit, but it does involve Tigatron quite a bit.
Oh, oh, I'm excited.
It involves a floating island.
See, I have vague recollections of said floating island. We're not going to talk about it
No,
for anyone listening, but I guess we shouldn't have. Oh no, we can do minor little juicy tidbits like floating islands.
yeah, I didn't.
Sorry to ruin it for those two people listening that have never watched the show.
Those exactly two people. Yeah, no, it's a two-parter. It's called the Trigger Part 1 and 2. I think it might be episode 15 and 16. Uh, it involves a floating island and Tigatron
Nothing else.
and another character who
No, we won't talk about it.
has not
I don't want to know.
has not been introduced yet.
Stop it.
End up getting
Stop
stuck.
talking. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want a surprise.
All
I haven't
right.
seen all the episodes, right?
Yeah,
I
true.
remember a flying. I remember a flying thing, and won't even get into it. But yes, other characters.
Yeah,
And when I'm looking at
good
the
episode.
Beast Wars, like let's say I just happen to Google some image, I really like this episode that we
Let's
just
say I
finished
just
talking
happened to
about, by the
Google
way.
Beast Wars, and then for reasons that are completely bewildering to a normal person, I get interested in it.
Thanks for fitting. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I Googled like Beast Wars, and like I don't recognize half of them. I'm
I
like,
don't
oh,
know
whoa,
what.
and then I immediately close the tab because I don't want to speculate.
I'm worried about spoilers for this thing that I don't give two shits about.
I'm worried about spoilers for something that I give one shit about.
Oh. Well, I give the other shit about it, so with our powers combined,
We are Captain
we
Two
are.
Shits.
Yes. We are Captain we are Captain Give Two Shits.
I mean, not as cool as a Planeteer, but like, do we at least get like prime jets?
We
Can we straight up not fly?
we get planet jets.
Planet jets, that's better.
Or shit jets.
Oh. Change my mind.
We are propelled into orbit just with, like, projectile shit.
Speaking of projectile shit, do you remember Captain Pollution?
Speaking of projectile shit, this podcast.
Do you remember Captain Pollution?
No, I don't.
There's like smog. There's like anti-planeteers or
I do like vaguely
and they summon
remember that.
Captain Pollution, and he pops up and he's like, "With your powers combined, I am Captain Pollution." This is now a Captain Planet podcast.
Oh, good God. I have kind of been wondering if, like, just doing podcasts about, like, 90s cartoons is just gonna be my thing. Like, I kind of want to do one about the, there was a G.I. Joe pilot called Sergeant Savage and his Screamin' Eagles that came out in, like, 94 or so. And the reason why it sticks out in my head is because, like, the pilot came as a VHS tape with the Sergeant Savage figure.
Oh.
And the origin is basically just Captain America. Like, it's straight up just fucking Captain America. And it even has some voice actors from Beast Wars in it.
Oh, yeah. Canadian voice actors get around.
Oh, they do, yeah. So I kind of want to do a podcast about that. At least just like a one-off.
Yeah, like a one-off talking about this unheard of Canadian pilot. There was just a pilot, you said?
Yeah, it was just a pilot. It never went to series. And, like,
But
it never even aired on TV, as far as I know. It was
I
just
didn't even know about this.
it was just a VHS tape that came with an action figure.
Do you have the action figure?
I do. I will send you.
Oh.
I will send you a picture of it.
Wow.
I was about to say right now, good sir, but my phone is not in my immediate vicinity. But I will message it to you when this podcast is over, which I think might be now. So thank you. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you very much to everyone who listened to this week and in previous week. And for everyone. We love you all. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/toomuchenergon. If you want to send us an email, which no one has emailed us yet, but if you do, I guarantee we will read your email on the air.
Please email us.
I guarantee you we will read your email on the air no matter what you say in it. Yeah, so be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen.
We're real easy to find.
Whatever your podcast service of choice is. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Beast mode!